manipulable by people. What he seems to have gotten out of this is a tremendous anti-authoritarian hatred for governments, for corporations, really for any institution. His attack seems to be against any and all institutions. Notice he is not anti-war. He does not say that the U.S. should get out of Afghanistan and stop interfering in Pakistan. He just says, whatever you want to do, be transparent, right? Make it clear what you're doing, be humane, and try to reform it. And really, that's all he has to say. There's no theoretical basis for this. He doesn't talk about imperialism. He doesn't talk about Anglo-American banking. He doesn't talk about a new world order. He doesn't talk about any concept that might allow somebody to make sense of this, from whatever point of view. In other words, he just doesn't go there. There's no element of that. So I think this is a very, very suspicious and strange individual. Now, if we look at the institution, what is WikiLeaks? They have a board, and you can look on the internet, right? Wayne Madsen and other people have done useful work on this. If you look at the board seems to be packed with people from this sort of Soros left wing of the Anglo-American intelligence
and
world.
Cass Sunstein has praised it.
Yes, well, that's very interesting. It seems, again, I think this is more or less his project. This is how they would do it. It wouldn't come on the scene, in the official CIA. It can't. So we have this guy, Ben Laurie, who's a former security boss of Google. And, of course, as many have pointed out, Google was essentially a project of this. It's a proprietary investment company run by the CIA and
in Qtel, and that's now on record. That I mean, they've got their campuses now, their research campuses at NASA. I mean, this is the public face of the NSA with the public rollout and adoption of full NSA control.
Right, and we know now that we had it on the front page of the Washington Post here, that Google and the National Security Agency are in a partnership. They are in a lockstep. They've practically merged. So the one of the people on the board comes from that. And otherwise, you have a large group of these U.S.-backed dissidents coming from China. You have Wang Dan, who has gotten the Project Democracy award, right, from essentially from the U.S. government. You've got this guy, Xiao Chan.
So they're trying to get their credibility right now to start pumping out info, against corporations they want to bring down, against other governments. I mean, if this is an operation, and as you said, Assange may be a great guy and is being manipulated. I mean, they've released the Army manual about how to stage false flag terror. That's great work. They released the helicopter gun footage that I think is important work. But that's how an intelligence op would work. They would give you good info up front to get your confidence. I mean, I don't think we can say 100% that these are bad guys, but certainly the way that the New York Times, The Guardian, and Der Spiegel have spun the material all against Pakistan, and how they're propping up the myth, and this isn't really top secret, it's just secret material, battlefield communiques, which are famous for being used, fake body counts, you name it, to put out Pentagon propaganda.
We can also see that the intimate cooperation with the New York Times, with The Guardian of London, and with Der Spiegel of Germany, right? These are three arch-establishmentarian, very vaguely center-left.
Well, that's admitted. I mean, it turns out the New York Times, quote, crawled to Obama for instructions on WikiLeaks weeks before. So Assange kept saying it's coming out, it's coming out. It turns out that's why all the newspapers were going to the government and saying, what do we do with this? And the government said, do it.
Right, but
I mean, that's 100% proof right there that, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Alex, you and I know that if you're coming out with some revelation that the government doesn't want, say something about 9/11 truth, you don't get the New York Times, The Guardian, and Der Spiegel cooperating with you. Der Spiegel, in particular, had a whole cover story on conspiracy fanatics who turn the world upside down, 9/11 truth, are lunatics, anti-Semites, and all the rest of this crazy stuff. Couple of other things about it. Assange claims to be a PhD. According to Madsen, this is from a diploma mill. There was at the beginning of his career, he purported to come from Kenya. He apparently does not come from Kenya. He comes from Australia. There is this strange book that he contributed to, Underground Tales of Hacking and Madmen, in which Assange appears as the character Mendax, which is simply the Latin word for a liar. So it's a very uncertain individual, a very, very uncertain group. They seem to work with...
so he picks the name Darth Liar. I mean, this is... boy, that tells you something.
Something like that. And it's a pattern, of course, right? Remember, ultra-left financiers of the Soros type love to sponsor ultra-left, the sort of subversive groups. You go to France, you'll see the main left-wing newspaper, Libération. The main Parisian left-wing paper is it's owned by Baron Rothschild, and there have been all sorts of scandals about that.
Well, look, I have George Soros every day with Media Matters that he's the main contributor to and others attacking me and basically saying I'm Satan. So this guy, I mean, we know that he's active everywhere.
Right, and then let's look at, as you say quite properly, right? You've got to put in good information in order to get some credibility. Couple of stories about this. I was in Iceland last September, October, and I had a chance to give a lecture series in Reykjavik 5 nights in a row. I was on the main television news program on the Sunday, right, the Blab Show. And what I was recommending and really calling on them to do is declare a debt moratorium. Freeze your debt, stop paying your debt, cancel your debt. Don't negotiate under the gun of the British and the Dutch and the IMF and the European Commission, but start by having a debt moratorium in the way that Mexico and Argentina and Brazil and about 35 other countries, down to Costa Rica, very small countries with no military, just like Iceland, have done it. And about a couple of months after I had departed, into town blows Julian Assange, who goes, strangely enough, to some of the very same people and apparently tells them, forget about this debt moratorium stuff. What we need to do here is to have this internet-free zone. In other words, a world haven for hackers, for pornographers, for other people on the internet. And let's set that up, and we'll make Reykjavik into the world mecca for all kinds of...
All right, stay there.
We all know that the Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 4 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water systems. The revolutionary Berkey light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and re-cleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels, and removes harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $209, and the Berkey Guy will include 3 Sport Berkey water bottles and ship everything to you free of charge. That's right, 3 Sport Berkey water bottles and free shipping, an $87 value, yours free, but only for a limited time. Just call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653 now to order. That's 1-877-886-3653, or order online now at GoBerkey.com. That's GoBerkey.com today.
The question is, where should the American people draw their line in the sand?
What have we got? A republic or a monarchy?
A republic is based on a constitution which protects minority rights.
Not democracy, not mob rule, 2 wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner.
So they think they own our land, they think they own our water, children, our education, our money.
We have to define who we are and what we will tolerate.
Somebody's going to ask you what you did during the Patriot Uprising.
You have been warned.
We have the facts. We have the Constitution. We have the Bill of Rights. We have common law. Knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so excited to be able to offer you Don't Tread on Me, Rise of the Republic. Tyranny is upon us, but liberty and the sleeping giant that is the American people is rising. A new tool in the Infowar. Don't Tread on Me. Order it at Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139 and support independent, patriotic Liberty Films.
Global meltdowns, massive unemployment, endless wars, a new currency crisis, financially and morally bankrupt. A great and terrible storm is approaching. So what's the best way to get ready, to get prepared for hard times ahead? Introducing Off the Grid News, a weekly newsletter for independent patriots who want practical advice on how to survive and prosper in an increasingly dangerous world. It's the best way to get a black belt in emergency preparedness, survival skills, and off-the-grid living. Off the Grid News is fiercely independent independent. All about self-reliance and packed with helpful information on survival gardening, food preparation, alternative energy, herbal medicines, privacy and security, as well as God, gold, and guns, with absolutely no apologies. And the best part, this $100 a year service is now free of charge for our listeners. That's right, free for our listeners who sign up at offthegridnews.com. That's offthegridnews.com. You can sign up free at offthegridnews.com. offthegridnews.com.
Oh, that's Patriot Jimmy Vaughn bringing us in. Got to get him in studio sometime to play the guitar for us. Okay, let's go back to Webster Tarpley with us for another 35 minutes. I got a bunch of other issues I want to get into him with. Let's, in this 5-minute segment, finish up with the WikiLeaks. Webster, I'm going to sit back, finish up your points.
On Iceland, and the net effect of the arrival of Assange in Reykjavik, Iceland, was to convince a whole bunch of people who had started this debt moratorium agitation, which it seems to me is the only answer for the survival of the country, and go with this gimmick, really, which was to say, let's